My name is Kathy Tolley. I am 46 years old, and here's how my story begins. Not today, not yesterday, but 26 years ago, on the day my life split in two. The day when trust died, when family stopped feeling like family, and when I learned that sometimes the worst betrayals don't come from strangers. They come from the people you shared a childhood with. I was only 20 then, naive and dizzy in love with the man I thought I would marry, and my older sister Ellen Tolley, beautiful, admired, adored by everyone, was the person I trusted with every secret of my heart. I worshipped her in ways a younger sister shouldn't always believing she was incapable of hurting me. But she was. She and my boyfriend betrayed me together. They didn't confess. I discovered it. Their affair, their lies, their quiet smirks that suddenly made sense. And within months they married each other, pretending what they did was just young people making mistakes. My world didn't collapse instantly. It eroded slowly, painfully, over late-night arguments with my parents, over Ellen's hollow apologies, over my boyfriend's pathetic attempts to justify himself. Eventually, I drew a line. They were dead to me. And for 26 years, I kept that promise. My parents never did. In fact, they kept Ellen and her husband close. Holidays, birthdays, family decisions, everyone pretended to move on except me. I lived with the wound like a permanent scar raw whenever someone brushed against it. I thought time would thicken my skin. It didn't. I simply learned to build walls. And inside those walls, I raised my daughter Lily, my light, my reason, my heart, walking outside my body. I thought the past was buried, but buried things have a way of clawing their way up. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. A deceptively quiet day, one of those afternoons when the world is still the kind that tricks you into believing you're safe. Lily sat across from me at the kitchen table. She stirred her iced tea too many times. Metal spoon tapping, glass, tap, 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 a nervous rhythm. Her wedding binder lay open beside her pastel tabs and sticky notes peeking out. A moment ago, she'd been excitedly choosing flower arrangements. Then suddenly, she wasn't. "Mom," she began, her voice steady but her eyes not quite meeting mine. "We need to talk about the guest list." A pulse of unease throbbed behind my ribs. "I thought we already finalized it," I said gently. She swallowed. "Not everyone is on it." The silence stretched. Shadows shifted across the tile floor. My stomach tightened. Then she said the words that cracked open the past like a rotting coffin. "I want to invite Aunt Ellen and her husband." Everything inside me froze blood breath memory. For a moment, I didn't hear anything else. The room tilted. 26 years of pain surged back with a force that made my hands tremble under the table. "Excuse me," my voice barely came out. Lily looked at me with the hopeful, pleading expression she used to have when she was little and asked for something impossible. "I've been talking to them, Mom, for a while now." How long? My throat tightened. She hesitated. 4 years. The air left my chest like someone sucked it out. 4 years, I repeated, behind my back. She nodded, guilt flickering across her face. "I wanted to get to know them, and her daughter, my cousin, well, I want her to be the flower girl." A dizzying rush of emotions hit me all at once. Anger, betrayal, shock, disbelief. The daughter of the man who betrayed me. The child of the sister who destroyed my youth. Standing in Lily's wedding, as if nothing happened. I closed my eyes for a second, trying not to scream. "Lily," I said quietly, "you know what they did to me." "I do, but it was so long ago. People change, Mom." She leaned forward, her voice softening. "This is my wedding. I want my whole family there." Her whole family, except me, apparently. I exhaled slowly, fighting the tremor in my voice. "If they come, I won't. And I won't pay for the wedding either." Lily recoiled like I slapped her. "So you're threatening me now?" "No." My heart felt like it was splitting open. "I'm drawing a boundary I warned everyone about for 26 years. Her eyes reddened. "This isn't about them. This is about you refusing to move on." Sometimes clarity arrives like lightning. This was that moment. I looked at my daughter, my baby, and saw not malice, not cruelty, but influence. Ellen's influence, her husband's influence. 4 years of whispered poison behind my back. But Lily wasn't finished. "You're ruining everything." She snapped, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Why can't you just get over it?" "Because some wounds don't heal when the people who made them never apologized. Because the past doesn't fade if the people who broke you still pretend they did nothing wrong. Because betrayal by your own sister cuts deeper than a blade and never stops bleeding." But Lily was too hurt to hear any of that. She stood up, grabbed her binder, and stormed out the door. The slam echoed through the house long after she left. I sat there alone, staring at her untouched tea, listening to the ghost of the past whispering ugly truths in my ear. Minutes later, my phone rang. My ex-husband. Then my parents, and every call was the same. Kathy, stop being dramatic. Kathy, it was decades ago. Kathy, you're being selfish. Kathy, apologize to your daughter. Blame, 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 never once directed at Ellen, the woman who detonated my life. I hung up. I stopped answering. I sat at the table until the sky darkened outside the windows. Later that night, my boyfriend Marcus wrapped his arms around me from behind as I stared blankly at the stove. Maybe you should talk to her again, he murmured, before this hardens into something you can't undo. I wanted to cry. Instead, I whispered, I feel like I'm losing her, like everyone is choosing Ellen over me, again. He kissed the top of my head. Then fight for her, Kathy. But don't lose yourself doing it. His words sank deep, heavy as stones. And somewhere inside me, a storm began to build. Not anger, not bitterness. Something else. Something that knew this was only the beginning. Something that sensed the past was about to erupt into the present in ways I wasn't ready for. Because Lily hadn't told me the whole truth. Not yet. For 2 days after Lily walked out, the house felt like a pressure cooker. Quiet on the outside, boiling on the inside. Every sound felt louder. Every thought felt heavier. Every corner of the house reminded me of a life I thought I had under control. I was sanding down a piece of walnut wood in the garage, my way of calming my mind, when I realized I couldn't focus on anything except the echo of Lily's words. Why can't you just get over it? The irony was suffocating. I had gotten over the man. I had gotten over losing my 20s to heartbreak. But I had never gotten over her, my sister, her betrayal, her silence, her complete lack of remorse. Some wounds just stay alive. I came into the house early that evening craving a shower and a quiet moment to think, but as soon as I turned the key, the air shifted. Something was off. The house was too quiet except for the faint murmur of voices coming from the living room. Voices I recognized immediately, voices that made my stomach drop. I stepped inside the door, clicking softly behind me. My heart stalled in my chest. Sitting on my couch were the last two people I ever expected to see there, Ellen and her husband. My sister sat with her back straight, legs crossed elegantly, like she was posing for a magazine cover. Her husband rested an arm on the sofa, casual as if he owned the place. They both looked perfectly comfortable, perfectly at home, as if they hadn't burned mine down years ago. My keys almost slipped from my hand. What I finally said, my voice low and brittle, is going on here. Lily stood up from the armchair, her expression somewhere between nervous and hopeful. She wrung her hands together, her smile too wide, too forced. Mom, hey, you're home early. I stared at her, unable to speak. She gestured at the two intruders. I invited them. I thought maybe we could talk before the wedding. I couldn't breathe. You invited them here, I said slowly, each syllable trembling with contained fury. Yes, she rushed. Because we need to sort things out. We can't keep going like this. Sort things out. A laugh slipped out of me, sharp, cold, humorless. This isn't a minor disagreement, Lily. This isn't about a forgotten birthday or a bad Christmas. This is about what they did. Ellen lifted her chin, her voice calm and infuriatingly serene. Kathy, I know this is uncomfortable. No, I snapped, cutting her off. Uncomfortable was 26 years ago. This is something else. Her husband opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. Don't. You have nothing to say that I want to hear. The room stiffened. Lily stepped between us, her hands up in a desperate, pleading gesture. Mom, please. Just listen for a second. I looked at her, my daughter shaking, overwhelmed, trying to mediate a war she didn't understand. Lily, I said, my voice softening with effort. You blindsided me. You let them into my home without asking. After everything. That's not fair. I'm just trying to fix things, she said, tears brimming. I don't want my wedding ruined because of a grudge older than me. Grudge. That word again. I clenched my jaw. This isn't a grudge. This is trauma. Ellen exhaled sharply, her patience clearly fraying. Kathy, it has been decades. And maybe it's time to let it go. The audacity stunned me. Time to let it go, as if she hadn't shattered my life, as if I owed her peace, as if decades erased consequences. I felt my voice crack as I spoke. You ruined my relationship. You broke my trust. You married the man I loved. And you did all of it without a single apology. Don't you dare stand in my home and tell me to let it go. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Lily whispered, Mom, please don't do this. Tears were running down her face now. Something inside me splintered. This isn't your fault, I said gently, but you need to understand. They don't get to erase what happened just because time passed. Her face crumpled. I just want everyone to be together for one day. I looked at her, then at them, then back at her. No, I said quietly, not like this. Not with them. Ellen stiffened. So what, you're choosing to stay angry forever? I turned to her fully. No, I'm choosing myself. The room held its breath. Then I pointed toward the door. You need to leave. Now. Mom Lily gasped, horrified. I didn't raise my voice this time. I said now. There was a long, painful pause. Finally, Ellen stood. Her husband followed. They moved toward the door without another word. No apology, no remorse. Just a quiet exit, like they were stepping out of a restaurant, not a sister's home. But Lily stayed rooted in place, staring at me with betrayal carved into her expression. You're going to regret this, she whispered. You're choosing your pride over me. The words sliced deeper than I expected. Before I could speak, she ran after them, slamming the door behind her. And then everything went silent, completely achingly silent. I sank onto the couch, the one they'd been sitting on moments ago, and stared blankly at the wall. Was I right, or had I just destroyed my relationship with my only child? A minute later, my phone buzzed. My parents. Again. I let it ring. Then it buzzed again, and again, and again. When I finally answered, my father's voice thundered out before I could say hello. What is wrong with you? Kathy, they came all the way over to talk and you threw them out. It was my home, I whispered. And that was your sister? Not anymore, I said. Not after what she did. My mother grabbed the phone. Kathy, stop this nonsense. You are tearing the family apart. I closed my eyes. No, she tore it apart years ago. Click. They hung up. No goodbye, no attempt to understand. Just accusation and disgust. I let the phone fall from my hand. Moments later, Marcus appeared in the doorway, his face softened with concern. He'd heard enough to know what happened. He crossed the room and pulled me into his arms. You're not alone, he murmured. But the truth was, I had never felt more alone in my life. And deep inside, a dark suspicion began creeping in. Lily didn't just invite them for the wedding. There was more to this. Much more. And I wasn't prepared for the truth that was coming. For days after the confrontation in my living room, the atmosphere around me felt thick, like the air before a storm, heavy and electric. Lily stopped answering my texts except for short, frosty replies. My parents were alternating between cold silence and sharp lectures, and in the middle of it all, I kept replaying the scene of my sister sitting on my couch with that calm, polished expression as if she hadn't detonated my life all those years ago. I had been betrayed once. I wasn't going to let it happen again. But I didn't yet know that the betrayal wasn't just old, it was current, active, spreading in quiet ways. The truth came from a place I didn't expect. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was in the backyard, trimming overgrown branches, trying to get my mind off the ache in my chest. Heavy thoughts always pushed me toward physical work. Something about cutting, clearing, reshaping helped me breathe again. My phone buzzed. I wiped my hands on my jeans and glanced at the caller ID. Caroline, an old family friend. Someone who always kept a neutral stance in family matters. Someone who never called without a good reason. I answered. Hey, Caroline. Kathy? She began, her voice carrying a weight that made my heart stall. I wasn't sure if I should call, but I think you deserve to know something. An uneasy chill crept down my spine. Know what? There was a pause long enough for my breath to hitch. It's about why your sister is pushing so hard to be at Lily's wedding. I froze. What do you mean? Caroline sighed, a slow, heavy exhale, like she was bracing for impact. Kathy, it's not about reconciliation. Not really. I felt the ground beneath me shift. What is it about Caroline? She took another breath. It is about her son's wedding. I blinked. What? Her son is getting married this year too. But most of the family isn't going. They still haven't forgiven Ellen for what she did to you. They don't trust her. And she thinks if she can publicly fix things with you at Lily's wedding, everyone else will forgive her in time for her son's wedding. For a moment I couldn't speak. It was like the world tilted sideways, a nauseating lurch. So I whispered she wants to use my daughter's wedding as PR. Caroline's voice broke a little. I'm sorry, Kathy. But yes, she wants to show the family that everything is healed, that you two are close again, so people will show up to her son's ceremony. I pressed a hand to my forehead, the weight of it all settling into my bones. She never cared about making things right with me, I murmured. She just wanted to fix her image. Caroline didn't deny it. She didn't soften it. She's desperate, Kathy. And desperate people do selfish things. I swallowed, hard anger and heartbreak twisting together inside me. And Lily, I whispered, why involve her? Caroline hesitated. I think your sister's been very strategic. My stomach churned. Strategic. Of course. Ellen always played long games. She always had a way of making things look like fate instead of manipulation. Caroline continued. I don't think Lily realized the whole truth. I think she genuinely thought this was about family healing. She doesn't know she's being used. My chest tightened painfully. My daughter, my sweet girl, manipulated without even knowing it. Thank you, I told Caroline, my voice raw. I'm sorry, she replied softly, but you needed to know. When I hung up, I stared at the trees without really seeing them. The world around me was still, but inside, everything was shaking. I wasn't angry like before, not the sharp, immediate fury that erupted when I saw Ellen in my living room. This was different. This was devastation. This was clarity. This was betrayal layered on betrayal. And beneath it all, a fierce protective fire was igniting. That evening, Lily showed up unannounced. She walked into the backyard with the same hesitant footsteps she had as a child when she broke something she wasn't supposed to touch. I straightened, holding onto the edge of the table. Mom, she said quietly, can we talk? I nodded and gestured toward the patio table. We sat. The distance between us felt like an ocean. She twisted her engagement ring nervously. I've been thinking, she began, about everything. I watched her silent. She took a shaky breath. And I think I messed up. Her voice cracked on the last word. My heart squeezed. I should have told you I was talking to Aunt Ellen, she said, her eyes filling. I shouldn't have gone behind your back, and bringing them to the house like that was wrong. I was just trying to fix everything. I wanted the wedding to be perfect. Oh, Lily, I whispered. She wiped at her tears. I just thought, if I could get you in the same room, maybe it would force things to heal. That's not how healing works, I said gently. I know, she sniffled, but I didn't know what else to do. The sincerity in her voice made my throat ache. Lily, I said softly, there's something you need to know. I told her everything. Every word Caroline had said, every intention behind her aunt's sudden interest, every selfish layer to the plan. With each sentence, Lily's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to heartbreak to fury. By the time I finished, she looked like she'd been struck. She wanted to use my wedding, Lily whispered. Yes. So she didn't care about me. She just cared about looking good. I reached for her hand. She cared about saving face. Not about healing. Not about you. Not even about me. Lily stared down at the table, tears dripping onto the wood. I feel sick. I squeezed her hand gently. You didn't know. You were trying to do something good. But I hurt you, she whispered. And I hurt myself. I leaned in and touched her cheek. But you're here now, and you're listening. That matters. She nodded, swallowing hard. Then she sat up straighter, wiped her face, and spoke with a voice I had never heard from her before, strong, sharp, decisive. They're not coming, she said. I do not want anyone at my wedding who is using me for their own agenda. I exhaled a breath I had been holding for days. Are you sure? I asked gently. Yes, she said firmly. I don't want lies at my wedding. I want love. Her words struck something deep inside me. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, I felt hope. Lily took a long breath. But I'm not done, she added quietly. I need answers. From her. What are you planning? I asked cautiously. She stood, a new fire burning in her eyes. I'm going to confront her, Lily said. And this time, she will not twist the truth. And for the first time in 26 years, I felt like I wasn't fighting alone. Lily did not wait long to confront my sister. She moved with a kind of quiet determination I had never seen in her before. No hesitation, no fear, no second guessing. It terrified me and made me proud at the same time. She wasn't just trying to keep peace anymore. She was fighting for truth. And truth has a way of tearing open every rotten seam. 2 evenings after our talk, Lily drove to the small cafe near downtown where she had asked Ellen and Ellen's husband to meet her. She didn't ask me to come. She said she needed to do this alone, that she had to hear their lies with her own ears so she could finally stop believing them. I waited in the car across the street anyway. Not inside, not beside her, just close enough to be there if her heart broke. From the window, I saw Lily walk in with her spine straight, her chin high. Ellen and her husband were already seated. They always arrived early to look considerate and responsible. I used to admire that. Now I knew it was strategy, an image they curated with care. The conversation started calm. I could see it in their posture, in the relaxed hands, in the forced small smiles. But then Lily's shoulders stiffened. Her hands curled. Her jaw tightened. And I knew. She had asked the one question they could not answer honestly. Did you want to reconnect with me? Or did you want to use my wedding to fix your reputation? From across the street, I saw Ellen's smile falter. I saw her husband shift shoulders tensing, then dropping, then settling into defensive posture. And then I watched Lily lean in and say something that made my sister go absolutely still. Later, Lily told me what she said. If you cared about Mom, you would have apologized 26 years ago. If you cared about me, you would have told me the truth. You did neither. When she stood to leave, Ellen reached out as if to stop her, but Lily pulled her arm away gently, firmly. That moment, even from a distance, was a break, a snap, a clean severing of an old tie I didn't even realize Lily had been desperately clutching. When she walked back to my car, her face was blotchy from crying, but her eyes were strong. "They'll never change," she whispered as she climbed in. "But I will." I wrapped my arms around her while she cried into my shoulder, mourning the aunt she wanted but never really had. "I'm sorry," I whispered into her hair. "I'm sorry you had to see who she really is." Lily took a shaky breath. "No, Mom," she said. "I'm glad I did." The aftermath was messy. Lily didn't post the video right away. She thought long and hard. She cried. She paced. She questioned herself. But the more she reflected on how deeply she had been manipulated, the more resolute she became. When she finally recorded the video, her voice trembled but didn't waver. She explained everything. The years of secret communication, the way Ellen positioned herself as the reasonable one, the sudden push to join the wedding, and the truth about the other wedding, her cousins and the family's boycott. She didn't attack. She didn't insult. She simply told the truth. Raw, uncoated, unembellished truth. The reaction in the extended family was explosive. Some were horrified. Some were defensive. Some were enraged at Ellen, at the situation, at old wounds they'd tried to forget. And some reached out to Lily and me, privately expressing relief that someone finally said what everyone else had been too polite to admit. My sister's reputation, carefully curated for decades, cracked. Not shattered, but cracked enough that she could no longer pretend innocence. That was enough for us. The wedding day approached with surprising peace. For the first time in weeks, the house felt like a home again. Lily and I spent late nights assembling centerpieces, taste-testing frosting, laughing over old photos, and rediscovering each other. Marcus checked in constantly, bringing food, draping an arm around me, when he sensed the memories overwhelming me, grounding me with small touches and quiet presence. For once, everything seemed steady. And then on the morning of the rehearsal dinner, my phone rang. "Ellen." My breath hitched. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Kathy." Her voice was thin, fragile. Nothing like the composed woman who sat on my couch days before. I heard what Lily said, and I didn't know things would go this far. She choked on a breath. "I'm sorry." 2 words. Late by 26 years. Weighed down with too many conditions to be pure. But they were words I had once prayed for, screamed for, cried for. On this day, though, they weren't enough. "Thank you for saying that," I said quietly. "But it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't rebuild trust. And it doesn't make you part of Lily's wedding." A silence stretched between us, trembling. "I understand," she whispered. And for the first time ever, I believe she did. We ended the call gently. And something inside me, something tight, wounded, decades old, loosened. Not healed, not erased, but loosened. Sometimes peace isn't forgiveness. Sometimes it's just release. The wedding day dawned warm in golden sunlight spilling across the sky like a blessing. I helped Lily into her dress, lacing the back while she held her breath to keep from crying. "You look perfect," I whispered. She turned, cupping my face. "I wouldn't be here without you." I kissed her forehead, my heart swelling. The ceremony was everything she dreamed of. Soft music, blooming flowers, her soon-to-be husband crying before she even reached the aisle. Marcus held my hand throughout, squeezing gently each time my emotions surged. And when Lily slid her arm through mine so I could walk her down the aisle, my chest tightened with a pride I cannot put into words. Every step felt like reclaiming something I lost at 20. Every step felt like healing. After the ceremony, people hugged, laughed, danced, celebrated. The tension that usually followed my family around like a shadow was strangely absent. Maybe the truth had been a cleansing. Maybe the air was lighter, simply because no one was pretending anymore. As the sun dipped low, casting warm light across the town hall courtyard, Lily and I stepped outside to catch our breath. "Mom," she said softly. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be okay, right? Our family." I looked at her. I raised this woman who faced truth with more courage than many adults ever muster. "We are," I said, "because we're rebuilding on honesty, not lies." She nodded, leaning her head on my shoulder. Behind us, the sounds of celebration echoed music, laughter, clinking glasses. Ahead of us, the horizon glowed with soft orange and gold. A new beginning. Not perfect, not simple, but ours. And as we walked back inside, together hand in hand, I realized something. The past shaped us, but it no longer controlled us. We had survived betrayal. We had survived truth. And now finally we were learning how to live again. The days after Lily's wedding felt strangely quiet. Not empty, just softer, as if the whole world had exhaled with us. The noise, the tension, the phone calls, the confrontations. All of it had settled like dust that finally stopped swirling. The house smelled like leftover flowers and lavender candles, the kind of peace you don't trust at first because it feels unfamiliar. But even in the quiet, something was shifting, not just in me, in all of us. The morning after the wedding, I woke up early sunlight warming the sheets and found Marcus already downstairs making coffee. When he heard my footsteps, he turned and smiled. Not the polite smile he gave strangers, but the soft one he reserved just for me. "Good morning," he said, handing me a mug. "How's the mother of the bride feeling today?" "Tired," I admitted, "but lighter." He tilted his head. "Good. You deserve that." His gentleness almost undid me. For so long I had lived braced for impact, waiting for someone to hurt me the way Ellen once did. I never realized how exhausting it was to live like that until the weight finally lifted. We spent the morning in comfortable silence, him reading me, sorting through leftover decor and thank you cards. Every now and then, I would catch myself smiling without realizing it. That alone felt like its own small miracle. Later that afternoon, Lily came over with her new husband, arms full of leftover cake and wedding favors. She looked different, not because she was married now, but because something in her had settled. Her eyes weren't clouded with doubt or hurt or pressure. They were clear. "Mom," she said, dropping onto the couch with a groan, "being a bride is fun. Being a former bride is exhaustion." I laughed. "Just wait until the thank you notes." Her husband smirked. "She already has a list." "Of course she does," I said, smiling. "She's my daughter." We spent hours talking about the ceremony, the speeches, the moment she saw her husband cry at the altar and whispered, "Oh no, if you cry, I'll cry too." We laughed until my stomach hurt. But then when her husband stepped outside to take a call, Lily grew quiet, thoughtful. "Mom," she said softly, "I want to apologize again." I reached out and took her hand. "You already did." "I know, but I don't think you realize how much you taught me by standing your ground." Her voice trembled not from sadness, but from something deeper. "For years, I didn't understand why you couldn't let the past go. I thought you were being stubborn. But now, I see it. I see how deeply betrayal can wound someone, how it doesn't just heal on command, and how forgiveness shouldn't be demanded." I felt my throat tighten. "And I'm sorry I let Aunt Ellen manipulate me. I'm sorry I doubted you." I squeezed her hand gently. "You didn't know, and that wasn't your fault." "But it hurt you," she insisted. "And I want you to know that I will never let anyone family or not decide how I see you again." A warmth spread through my chest, slow and steady. "Thank you," I whispered. She leaned her head on my shoulder, just like she did when she was little. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too." And it wasn't just a mother-daughter moment. It was a rebuilding, a rerooting, a reclaiming of each other. But healing, I learned, doesn't happen in a straight line. 3 weeks after the wedding, I received an unexpected envelope in the mail. No return address. The kind of envelope that made my heart skip for reasons I didn't understand. Inside was a letter from Ellen. I stared at the handwriting, familiar but older, shakier. My name was written carefully, as if she had erased it once or twice before committing to the stroke. Hands trembling slightly, I unfolded the paper. "Kathy, I do not expect forgiveness. I do not expect reconciliation. I do not expect anything from you. But I owe you the truth. Not the version I've told others. Not the softened version I told myself. Not the convenient version I let my children believe. The truth is that I hurt you because I was jealous." My breath caught. Jealous. That was a word I had never expected to see in ink. I was jealous of your softness, your kindness, the way people trusted you. I was jealous that our parents doted on you. I was jealous of how deeply your boyfriend loved you because I had never felt that from anyone then. And jealousy mixed with immaturity, mixed with insecurity, made me destructive. I ruined something beautiful because I wanted to feel chosen. And I have lived with that shame for 26 years. My vision blurred with tears I didn't wipe away. "I saw you at the wedding, even though you didn't see me." I froze. She had been there, in the background, far enough not to intrude, close enough to witness. "I saw the woman you became, the mother you are, the strength you built from the ruins I helped create." And for the first time, I understood fully what I took from you. I will not ask you to let me back into your life. I will not ask you to speak to me. But I want you to know that I am trying to be better, even if I am 26 years late. The letter ended there. No signature, just space. Space that felt heavy and strangely freeing. I folded it slowly, my hands steady now. Forgiveness didn't bloom in that moment, not full forgiveness, not the kind people expect. But something else stirred, a soft loosening, like the first crack of dawn after a long night. I didn't call her, I didn't write back. Some wounds take years, some take lifetimes, and I was no longer rushing my healing. Months later, Lily and I stood together at a park near her new home, watching her dog run clumsy circles around a flock of very offended ducks. The air smelled like warm grass and faint perfume. The sun lit her hair like strands of gold. "I'm happy," she said suddenly. I nodded. "I can see that." "And you?" she asked, turning to me. I looked out across the water at the ripples catching sunlight, at the breeze stirring the leaves, at the calm settling inside me like a soft, certain truth. "I am too," I said. "For the first time in a very long time, I really am." She smiled and slipped her arm through mine. And I realized something. Healing didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean pretending the past didn't hurt. It didn't mean repairing every broken relationship. Healing meant choosing peace for ourselves, for the people we love, and for the lives we're brave enough to begin again. And that's exactly what we did. Together.